Hi, I'm Craig Strickland with Banyan Studios. I hope you enjoyed part one of our series on how to turn a pen. You're about to see part two, where we actually put the pen blank on the lathe and cut it. I hope you enjoy. So today we are starting with the blanks, wooden blanks from a piece of poplar. And first step for us is to put it in this mandrel with, you've got on both sides of it a shoulder, so that I can turn down to that shoulder. Safety first, I want to look at my lathe and make sure that I've got everything tied down. There's a lock on the tailpiece right here that keeps this from moving. There is a scroll here so you can tighten it. Now, I like to start at a very low speed, in fact, no speed at all, so I turn it on and I can see how it's spinning from here. And it's spinning, right now it's spinning at 700 RPMs. When I'm turning a pen, I like to turn it at about 2,000 RPMs. So what we're going to do, we've got it to a little over 2,000. And these are small knives that are made for turning delicate bowls or pens or things that require some finesse. So I use this a lot. Now, when I come to this point, I want to make sure that my knife is below the midpoint. So it is. I'm going to turn it on and see how it feels. I can tell whether I've cut the corners off of it by whether it's smooth on here. It's not smooth at all. You see it jumping all over the place. So one of the things I want to do, you can see here, there's how much is cut. Just this little bit right here. So I got to cut a fair amount more. And I also notice my tool rest is a little low. And so I'm going to raise it up just a hair, because I get better knife control if it's a little closer. So I'm moving it a little closer to the material and up a little as well. I don't want to be right on the material, but I want to be very close to it. It gives you less of a chance of ruining the piece. Now, once you've got your blade set where you want it, you don't have to look at the blade anymore. You're keeping it in the same place, and you're moving it perpendicular to the material. You see, I'm not going like this and this. I want to move it straight through the material. And once you've got it in the correct at the correct angle where it's cutting, then you no longer need to look at your blade cutting right here. You actually want to look at the top side of it, because that's where you can see the progress that you're making. You can see it's still not cut all the way through. It needs to be completely round. And it also, you see these lines in it right here? That's from poor knife control, or a dull knife. Either one of those things can make that happen. This is a wooden pen. We're going to sand it, so it's not going to be a big deal. I'm going to come back and make that a little smoother anyway. But what I like to do is I like to cut both halves at the same time, so I can kind of keep the proportions. And what I want to see is I always set my mandrel up the same way. This will be the point of the pen here. and this will be the shoulder of the pin here, or where the cap goes. And so now I've got this turned. If I turn these separately, it's harder to control the proportions. And look, this is as much art as it is craft. And so I want the pin to look the way I want it to look. And I like to, part of the fun, maybe most of the fun of it, is getting to this point where you can begin to watch the pin take shape. And that's what I need to do here now. I want to see what the bottom of it's going to look like and whether I'm going to be able to keep any of those red, those pieces of red in it. Look now. Right here is completely round. Look at this. This is not. And this is not completely. So you can see the profile on the high side of this, and you can see where it's spattered. I need to cut that meat off. And look how smooth that is. Turn it off now, you can see it's going to be round all the way. You remember I showing you the mistake where I punched a hole through it? We'll see if I can get all that out. If not, we're going to call this failure number 1 and do it again. I like to get this shoulder down to the shoulder, top down to the shoulder pretty quickly, and just on the very end of it, because it's going to help me to shape the pin. I want to start taking a little more off this front as well. I'm thinking this knife might be a little bit dull, so I'm going to move the carbide tip a little. You actually can use the carbide tip all the way around it. And so I take an Allen wrench and loosen it. And now I want to turn the blade just about 180 degrees. And I got a fresh blade. Now these carbide tip blades come in a variety of sizes. And so you want to make sure when you replace them that you replace them with the size that came with it. Otherwise they won't rest comfortably in this little hole. Now I should be back ready to go. Still haven't gotten rid of that hole, but we're getting close now. And I think we might actually squeeze by with this. But before I take it much further, I got to make sure I can get that hole out of there. Oh, it's getting close. We'll see if I can squeeze by with that. Come on, I need for you to go away. I'd say it's probably a 1/16 of an inch or a 32nd of an inch. Oh, so close. All right, I think I can sand this out. It's going to be close, but I'd rather sand it than risk cutting too much with a knife. So let's take this one on down. Now this will be the top end of the pin. Now you can begin to see where the glue buildup is on these shoulder pieces, and so I'm just taking this and moving them off. so that now it's the same. I want it to be the same thickness as the pin. And they do build up. You can see when you're looking at this that this piece right here is just too fat for that pin. So that's the whole principle of doing them side by side. Is you can see, okay, I got to take off a fair amount of meat in order for it to look proportional to the other end of the pin. But I find that a steeper grade at this end of the top end of the pin, excuse me, is a better look than having a gradual grade as I do on the bottom half of the pin. Now, this is still fatter. There's no question. I love there's some streak of red running through it right there, as you can see. I don't have that red on this piece, so we turned it all off, or out, I should say. But I want to go just a little bit more on the top piece. That looks about right to me. So it's, it's anybody's opinion of what it looks like. I like it, so that's all that matters at this point. So what I'm going to do now is I'm moving the banjo out of the way and pulling the tool rest out altogether because I don't need it anymore for the next thing that I'm doing. So it just pulls out. So I hope you enjoyed watching the final part of turning the pin. And I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button on your way out the door. Thanks a lot.